Start streaming. And hello everyone, I'm Dan Lutz, and I'm here with
Tank.
And we're here on the front lines in the battle against the deep state, the cabal, the Illuminonkeys, and all those that wish to enslave all of humanity or as a battery to power their systems. So
pretty terrifying.
Yeah, but we're winning. You know, are you tired of winning yet?
I'm not tired of winning. I'm a believer in finishing them off. So, the game's not over yet.
Nope. No, just more battles on the front lines.
I'll tell you, on the front lines of things, I think, what's paramount and what's most essential to everything that's taking place right now is really the constitutional crisis that's taking place everywhere. And I think this is something that we need to talk about. I think that everybody needs to be talking about this and thinking about it. Even though you're in the Philippines, it's the same, general idea that we're all in this fight. And, America should be, the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? And you're seeing this where, Ron Davis actually told us how the judge, when he, stood up and basically said that, according to the Constitution, and he kept citing different aspects of the Constitution, talking about his rights. And the judge actually told him that he would hold him in contempt of court if he mentioned the Constitution again. So I thought about this because, and I said this today, and I really think this is important, that the people really need to hold the courts in contempt of the people. Because the reality is the courts right now, they're supposed to protect our rights, but they certainly don't. And I think that you're seeing that now. I sent you two links just now that I think are great examples that are very current, that are happening right now. One with California and one with Nancy Pelosi with gun control. But they are a direct impact on our constitutional rights, our civil rights, our fundamental rights, guaranteed. Are unalienable rights that you cannot take from us because they are not rights that were given to us by the government.
Yeah. So I do have the one with Tucker Carlson queued up, and we can show that. Let me go ahead and.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Okay. Why did I lose it? Second.
Yeah, I mean, there's essentially to it, but it really cuts to what is happening everywhere. I mean, everywhere. It's scary. It's a scary thing that's happening, and I hope people are starting to wake up to it.
Right. Okay, there we are. All right, and I got to display it on YouTube. So this is a Trump war room. Wow, as California Attorney General Kamala Harris targeted a pro-life journalist whose reporting threatened the bottom line of her political donors. Planned Parenthood, very corrupt. Let's see what this says.
Back in 2015, David Daleiden and the Center for Medical Progress released undercover footage that they found of Planned Parenthood executives discussing selling fetal body parts. Much of that footage was obtained in the state of California. The job of investigating Planned Parenthood fell to then Attorney General Kamala Harris, but she had a very different target in mind: the journalist who found the footage, David Daleiden. Harris sent police to his home and seized his film footage. We spoke to David earlier, and this is what he said about it. Is any of that mischaracterizing what happened? You bring to light clearly illegal and appalling and immoral behavior by Planned Parenthood, and then you become the target of a criminal investigation.
That's correct. When Kamala Harris was Attorney General of the state of California, she worked hand in glove with her political backers at Planned Parenthood. No less than 6 top-level executives at Planned Parenthood California met with her in person in Los Angeles in March of 2016. We have the documents from discovery in the case that her office ultimately launched against me and one of CMP's investigators. Top Planned Parenthood executives met with Kamala Harris in March of 2016, specifically requesting that she use the law enforcement powers of her office to seize dozens of hours of unreleased undercover footage that we had gathered at the Center for Medical Progress. They got a highly political search warrant to conduct a political raid on my home to seize the unreleased undercover footage. By the way, it's black letter California law that you are not supposed to get a search warrant to seize the unpublished materials of a journalist, whether citizen journalist, professional journalist, but that's what Kamala Harris went ahead and did at the behest of Planned Parenthood in order to cover up for them and in order to protect them from increased further scrutiny for the crimes of selling aborted baby body parts, sometimes from criminal partial birth abortions. And that's stuff that we're hearing from the law.
It's horrifying.
It's absolutely horrifying.
So, in other words, a journalist brings to light criminal behavior committed by the political backers of a politician. That politician then uses armed cops to seize the evidence to protect her political backers. I wonder if there could be a more corrupt scenario than that.
It's hard to imagine it. I mean, it's like a banana republic, and really what it is it's an assault on First Amendment civil rights. It's using the power of law enforcement. It's using the law enforcement powers of Kamala Harris's office to punish dissenting thought and to punish people who have a policy disagreement. And in a free society, an open society, you know, we solve our disagreements and actually we welcome our disagreements and we discuss those openly in a free marketplace of ideas. We don't try and shut that down, and we don't try and use the police power of the state to control what people think or to enforce a very narrow orthodoxy of what a good and evolved person should be in 2019. But that's what Kamala Harris did on behalf of Planned Parenthood as Attorney General of California.
Yeah. And just figure, there's nothing liberal about that. That's fascist behavior. Okay, that's third world fascist behavior. Yeah,
it is.
David, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're able to recount that for us. It matters now more than ever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tucker.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty. I mean, you know, I got to be honest. That is one of the most powerful clips I have ever seen, as far as evidence that's really detailing how our actual constitutional rights are being violated, our fundamental rights, just to have a difference in opinion, you know. And when you really look at that, right, it's terrifying, because they went in to take the footage before it was published. So that is where, and I love what he said. He said, you know, you're talking about a difference in policy. Mm-hmm. So now you're not allowed to have a difference in policy. You're targeting the journalist, when in this there was 14 points that were brought out that were caught on tape, right, that were scathing. They talked about illegally selling body parts. They talked about babies falling out alive and killing them and selling them that way. Right. They talked about using illegal methods of abortion, partial abortions, to take the head out intact. These are not. This is not an issue of women's rights. This is not an issue of, even about abortion. To be honest, this is a matter of, are you kidding me? This is horrible Nazi medicine.
Well, it's,
I mean,
it's,
this
it's
is
interesting.
the practice of.
It's also
Yeah, go
interesting. It's interesting. He also called it banana republic behavior, right? Well, Kamala Harris's actually family is from a banana republic. You know, it's of Jamaica, and that her grandfather was a slaver, right? And not only he even there was he even had it didn't matter the color, he was just into slavery, right? They were actually doing white slaves from Ireland. You know, I guess this is back in in the you know I don't know what you call it, the colonial days or whatever, but this is her family background. And I'm just wondering, this is something that does this business, did it just continue just underground? Did it get shoved underground after, the Civil War? And, when people's families are, wealth is built upon something like that, is she still part of it today? You have to ask the question, because
Oh yeah.
human trafficking of body parts, it's just like cattle. You need some cattle alive and some of them dead.
Yeah. Well, and I actually spoke to some of the people that are what I call, like the dissenting members from the Illuminati, who were raised in the Illuminati, and then they are, they've broken out of that, and they don't want to be a part of it. They don't want to be part of that system. And they described it like this to me. They said that you have two kinds of children that are put into programs, right? Like you have the Genesis program, the Monarch program, you have K-Ultra program. These are all different mind control programs, right? Now, the kids that are part of the Illuminati, right, they are considered to be bloodlines. So you're programming them to play a part that they've been designated worthy of, right? Whether it's good or bad, whatever it is. And so they break them horribly and do horrible things to them. Then they do the same type of, rape and abuse and force them to do horrible things. And they're constantly reintroducing them to trauma until the mind fractures. And they essentially create multiple personalities. And, basically you get them to kind of redefine what love is. Now, the kids in the Illuminati, they do that to a point to know how far they can push them without killing them. Now, the way they found out how far they can push a child without killing them is with not the other kids, which are considered expendable, right? So these are kids that they take from us, right? Kids they take from CPS, kids they take from the border, all the kids that are kidnapped, in all these different kinds of ways, and the parents that have no voice and no one to go to, because this is something that has been actively endorsed by this ridiculously diabolically corrupt government. And these kids are expendable. So they're used for sex, they're used to be raped, they're basically kept in horrible positions. They'll keep 3 or 4 slaves at a time, and they'll oftentimes say, these 2 are probably going to die, so you should use them now. They're not even seen as human. They're completely dehumanized. So these are the 2 groups that are used, right? And
Right.
But in one way or another, the reality is they're all slaves, right? Now, if you survive slavery as a member of the Illuminati, you get to grow up and have your own slaves, right? But you're still a slave.
Right.
They did this to people like Shirley Temple, right? And Shirley Temple had her own, Black Shirley Temple porn, site where all these old rich guys would come and, rape her as a child, or I guess it was just normal. And she grew up to become a big Illuminati queen and a Disney executive, right? Which I guess is apparently the pinnacle of success. If you're able to withstand the rape and abuse when you're a child, you get to grow up and be, a soulless being that is an executive.
Yeah. And then totally fulfilling your role and will do what the system wants you to do, right? So.
And this whole thing, but it's all on display right now. And I just saw that comment there by some guy, and he said, it was a legal confiscation of videos based on illegally obtained videos. They weren't illegal. The videos were in a public place where they were talking about these things with people that were walking by.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, and that is the very definition of public. So yes, they are more than welcome to do that videotape. And then furthermore, investigative journalism by nature, if you are exposing a crime, it is not illegal.
Right.
So they were exposing a crime. So to say that Kamala Harris, she has the right to legally, now legal, from what I understand, is the term itself. It's justifying overriding the Constitution. You don't get to override the Constitution. Any law that is put in place, any statute, is a no law if it violates your constitutional right. And that is the problem. People don't understand that, so they see some legal statute, and we're all getting duped by it. But we have to know our rights, and we have to take a stand universally, so much so that no one would allow us, no one would allow them to take those rights from us.
Yeah. Well, we're in the battle. All right, let's move to the next. I got the other one here. So, all right. So this is from Breitbart. We warned you. The Democrats are dead set on gun control. Pelosi warns Grim Reaper, Mitch, hell to pay if gun control is not passed. So they're very anxious to get this going, right? Try to line this up.
Oh, yeah.
Keeps it bouncing around.
These bills are alive and well in the public. We are once again asking the Grim Reaper, informing the Grim Reaper that these bills are alive and well in the public, that public opinion, public sentiment will weigh in. And as I have said in our meetings across the country, we will make this issue too hot for him to handle. But some of the gun violence prevention groups have made it up the ante even further to say that if this bill is not passed, Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate and the President will have hell to pay.
And she would know because she runs hell.
Yes. Yeah, she runs hell. She's the superintendent of hell. She's on a full retainer. You know what?
Or she's the receptionist.
I would say,
I think she's actually the receptionist.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I should probably, if I was Mitch McConnell, if I was Mitch McConnell and I warranted that kind of a threat from Nancy Pelosi, I would come back out and I would say, these are constitutional rights. You crazy bat. First of all, people who have every single person who has ever committed any kind of mass shooting. Here's one thing every one of them had in common. It wasn't that they were Democrat. It wasn't that they were Republican. It wasn't because they were white or black or Puerto Rican or Haitian. It wasn't any of those things. The one thing they all had in common, they all broke the law. They all broke the law. And they took out people who were law-abiding individuals who would not have broken the law. So what you're saying is you're going to pass more useless laws that you don't even enforce to take guns from people who don't break the laws, while people who do break the laws are fully armed because they're not going to give you their guns.
So it's like, I'm looking here, we get this Mitchell Red Dinger, most dangerous states in the U.S. are those with the loosest gun laws. Now we know that's not true. You actually have you have the lowest instances of murder in the states that have where everyone is easy for them to have a gun. It's just like we go to the ones with the most stringent controls are the ones where the most murders are. So you can see that they populate these things, that just to change the direction of sentiment, right? Just trying to mind control. That's what these systems have all become. We're here in Twitter, but it's such a dominant force in here. But Gab seems to have a whole new interface and seems to be well done. I know in Pursuit of Truth, they have their new Gab page there. So I think it might be worth just focusing on building that up because this type of manipulation is very very much going to be ramped up. They're just turning the dial slowly. I mean, it's their plan. It's not changing no matter if Trump is in the office. Their censorship, it's basically was programmed in, 5 years ago, before Trump took office, what they were going to do.
It's really a tragedy. If you're watching what's happening, it's you have the people, the individuals that founded this country. And even if there's more to the story, which believe me, there's more to every story. But you know what? There are good men and women who lost their lives, gave everything they had so that we could have freedom. You know what? They did the best they could based on the values they had at that time. And yes, there were slave owners, and yes, there was lots of bad things that happened back then. I'm sure were very acceptable, and we just we kind of overlook and try to make them all heroes. Okay, they were regular people, and they were fighting for their freedom from a monarch that imposed control on them every place they went. Now, what's happening right now is they are used to this monarch that was not the king, was not the queen or the king. It really was Marduk. It was really this higher authority that was imposing their will. And you know what? The founding fathers, they stood up for everyone. And they called them out and said, no, this is not acceptable. Look, Ronald Reagan, he said it. He said, it is for you to have the courage. This is what solves the problem. For you to have the courage to say to our enemies that there is a price we will not pay. And there is a line you will not cross, or you must not cross. That is the point we're at right now. And we have got to decide what that is. Because at some point, I don't care if you're a liberal or Democrat. I don't care what you are. If a baby, a living baby, comes out of a human being, in what world is that baby not alive? In what world do we not count that life as precious? That we don't care enough to give it the rights to live.
Right.
I mean, it's the very nature of our Declaration of Independence. These basic things. And look what they're doing. This is such an obvious agenda at this point, right? They're suppressing constantly. Don't share your message. They're suppressing the message on Twitter, on all these social media platforms, because they realized they made a big mistake. They tried to gather everyone's data, and they created the citizen journalist.
Right.
Right. And so now they're like, wait, this is our system to control you, and it's not working.
Right, we're using it, as they always can't see past the end of their nose, right? They design something from their perspective, right, which means that it's very short-sighted. They don't understand freedom because they've been broken, right? They don't understand that people can make decisions based upon their own free will. They understand conceptually, they know it, but they say, well, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, not realizing that the reaction that's going to take place is going to far overwhelm what they're doing.
Well, but and herein lies this attack that I see as being essential to changing everything, right? You have a multi-pronged approach that has to take place to wake people up. You have to have, at very least, a comparable media source that is not suppressed. Right? It's not good enough to use, it's the same reason why we have problems with banks, right? The tier 2 banks they're not corrupt nearly as much as the tier 1 banks. But the tier 2 banks can't clear money for themselves. They have to go through a tier 1 bank, right? So in other words, all of their corruption becomes a tier 2 corruption. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So things like that. So the same thing happens with everything else, right? The media companies, one puts out one lie, then they use the other one to back that lie with the media report from the other one, and it's all the same source, right? So there has to be media sources that can come out and not be interfered with. There has to be lines of communication that are not, not possible to hack, and they have to be just as prominent and just as real. I was talking to Kim about this yesterday, and I told her, I said, Kim, I'm like, I feel like I'm trying to build a skyscraper with, popsicle sticks and glue. And she's like, I know how you feel. She goes, I have all the material, I have all the metal, I have all the beams, I have all the stuff, and I can't get anybody to sell me any land. So it's like we have all these pieces, and there's interference from people who do nothing. They create nothing. They make money and they never make a difference. They don't make an impact. They don't make anything of value. All they do is just launder money. They just pass it back and forth, and by passing it back and forth, they say, "Look, you didn't create anything. You didn't make any money. You just created an illusion of money, and now you have the illusion of control. So all this, so you have to hit all these things at once. You have to hit healthcare, the legal system, the media, and the money, all at the same time. They all have to be hit at the same time because you need to allow people to heal. So you need to stop drugging them with things that are illegal, that are known poison, right? We need to stop with whatever the chemtrails are, whatever's in the water, whatever's in the food. Stop. Stop lying in the media on such a massive scale that you're producing massive ignorance. The number one fear of every human being on the planet right now should be ignorance. It is not knowing. People who don't know what's really going on are the most dangerous people because they don't know. Whether they're indifferent or activists, it doesn't matter. They're dangerous either way. They're actively pursuing their own death, or they're indifferently ignoring that it's coming. It's like sitting on the railroad tracks on a couch, listening to your headphones. So, kind of where we're at.
I'm sorry. Just kind of was just reading this. A couple of things along the way here. This was kind of interesting. The lives lost will not be from guns, but from the communist roundup of conservatives, all 60 million to the death camps in Nevada to consolidate their power. That's why they need gun control. They don't want you fighting back when Antifa kicks down your doors. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? If Antifa kicks down my door, I'm going to just blast It's Raining Men. And they can take their pansy, useless fighting style and their chemical warfare, and I will club them like Home Alone with battering rams that fall from the ceiling as they walk up the stairs. Like, it's a joke. It's ridiculous to me that we even have to fend against these people. They are scumbag, dirty fighters who couldn't win a street fight if their life depended on it. So they show up with all types of weapons. They're throwing bricks into crowds of men, women, children, kids, old ladies, just throwing bricks blindly. They don't even care who they hurt, and they're doing this in part, and 100% we know that they have paid actors who are paid to be part of Antifa, right? Because you didn't see anybody but white people in Antifa. They were just all wearing masks and dark shades and black hats. But then you go up to the straight pride parade, and all of a sudden you got this, fat, lesbian woman, and then this. And there's a black woman there, just show the diversity of Antifa, right? Like, look, we're all fighting, against you for being straight. What do you mean you're fighting against someone for being straight? Isn't that how you came into the world? Like, how did you come into existence? Morons.
Yeah. Let's see if I can bring this up. I like this
Look in
one.
my eyes.
Indictments are coming. You get all the rats running.
You know what? Put up or shut up. Well, this is bullshit. Indictments are coming. They've been coming for 10 years. I've been listening to this garbage for years. We're sealing the indictments. Big deal. Like, I don't care what you do with your indictment. Like, you can't even get Andrew McCabe, prosecuted right now. Like, come on. We got so much evidence on Hillary Clinton. I mean, she's walking down the street with baby parts hanging out of her pockets. I mean, it's disgusting. Like, what, this whole thing. I mean, everybody in any government position should be embarrassed, and every single American right now should be up in arms, standing up and saying, I'm running for office too. Right? Anybody. We should all be looking for what does real leadership look like? Why would President Trump take this guy, Timothy Holmesmith, and tell him not to go to court? Now, he's a truther, right? He outed all this information. They tried to portray him like a big criminal, right? They put him in jail. He did nothing wrong. We tell the truth. That's the crime? Really? So Trump tells him not to go to court. Now they got the Pentagon fighting with Illinois about it, right? Or Indiana, or one of those two. Mm-hmm. And so he's fighting for it. Now, why would the president get involved with that? Right. Because the Admiralty Court is garbage. It is not the law of the land. And in fact, it has no power. Right now, that court has no power. Yeah. The only power they have is when we submit ourselves to it. I'm
Right.
telling you, if I ever get pulled in front of, I will never say I understand what they're saying. I will not stand under their laws. Their laws are absolutely ridiculous. The way they're not enforcing them, they're convenient for their agenda. They are taking away our constitutional rights. But I will abide by every single right of my own that is guaranteed to me in the Constitution. I will speak freely. I will practice my own religion. I will be responsible for the care, custody, and control of my children. And that will happen. And I'll tell you what, and I will bear arms. And because right now, they've crossed a line that's so catastrophic that you are missing, we're missing out on what it means to even be an American. This whole generation is being raised to think that we're all, we're one big giant welfare program. What are we looking at there?
Well, this is something that Rush Limbaugh put out. It's a sickening clip about Joe Biden.
Oh, play it up.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
And then how are we going to keep states like Iowa from gutting our public water?
Well, we're going to try to pass national legislation. It's going to be hard. But listen, what you're doing, you guys are doing for sure. So, I talk to someone raising my wife. She's teaching right now. That's what she's 12 credits a semester. Down to 15. What do you teach?
I actually work with kids marketing degree, but I'm anyways, former class. But yeah, we're doing it hard. Absolutely. And I was
when a kid starts off from a poor family, they're hearing 4 million less words spoken. Kids from middle class family, you got to that is good. We'll get it done. Mr. Biden,
Well, I guess they could
What
have.
did he say?
I couldn't quite make it out. I wasn't sure if they were basically talking about. Let's see, what does it say? I think he meant well, but he grabbed my hands right away and was really uncomfortable. So it was basically his grabby nature, right? He grabbed a hold of her hands, right, and wouldn't let go. It's just this, there's so much of this stuff. So anyway, I figure if Rush was pointing out something, it would be worth taking a look at. But we can see. Well, here's the gun control. It's like this is the year will go down in history for the first time that a civilized nation has full gun registration. Our streets will be safer, our police will be more efficient, and the world will follow our lead into the future. Adolf Hitler, 1935, the Weapons Act of Nazi Germany. So, confiscate the guns and go at it.
I'll tell you, I really think that there is a failure of communities and nations to unite around these principles in America right now. There is protests going on in France because they are very well aware, trained by the French Revolution, throughout history, that the Rothschilds, what they're doing and how they're imposing their will on them.
Mm-hmm.
You have in China, the people have stood up and they have taken down the government. Meanwhile, they are raising our flag. They're raising our flag. Because we're supposed to be the model for liberation and freedom. And we are here in the United States, and the strongest movement. Now, there's a movement taking place, right? There's things going on. But you know who's organized? Antifa. Antifa. From Taibo classes at gyms and, backyard fight clubs. They decided that they're gonna take down, any sense of freedom. But they are not anti-fascism. They are anti-freedom.
Right.
And they're trying to portray it like they're pro-people. But Kamala Harris, what she did, that is absolutely fascist. Absolutely fascist. And how dare anybody on any venue, every single person who's out there who's being paid to tweet things that are bashing all these conservatives, they're bashing the truth, they're bashing the Constitution, they're upholding all of these perverse values of, promoting cannibalism, promoting pedophilia. Every one of them should be ashamed of themselves. Because in this country, you know who the real people are that are really Americans? The ones who allow them to spit their lies while they suppress them. Every word we say. Because they're there promoting. I mean, could you imagine that there would be a day where we're trying to normalize cannibalism? There's an active PR push right now to make it normal.
Yeah. Yeah, because we can't grow cows and all these other animals because it's a drain, but we can eat the dead.
You know what? And they're promoting this, and this is their dream come true. We were just devouring. Literally, they want us to devour each other.
Right.
And it's amazing to me, right? Like, I remember like playing games and like, I was a wrestler in college. Now, every single dispute in the wrestling house, right, where I live, every single dispute was settled in best 2 out of 3 takedowns, right? We would go best 2 out of 3 takedowns, and we would destroy the place. It was always destroyed. We were always wrestling, always fighting. And sometimes things would get too serious. You know what would happen? We'd all say, wait, chill out, man. We're on the same team, right? We'd all stop because we knew we didn't really want to hurt each other, right? We just wanted to take them. And right now, I keep looking for that intelligence to present itself, right? And you have these angry. Most of the time when I see just crazy going off, right? It's always these disgruntled, hormonally imbalanced, angry, butch-looking women who are furious and just saying awful things, right? You had this woman walking down the street. I wouldn't even show the clip. This woman was walking down the street. She pulled out a knife and she stabbed a little boy. Just walking down the street for no reason.
Mental illness.
The father, and then she went back to do it again. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Yeah. Like, take that woman and run her over. Like, you don't stab my child. I can't even. My whole team, we sat around for about half an hour coming up with all the different ways we would have been dropping ninja kicks on her. Because that's what normal people do. You don't just let somebody who stabs your child walk away.
Right.
Right. You don't let them walk through because they're going to walk around and stab somebody else's child. That's what you do as people. We protect each other. It's the most natural thing in the world, right? It's the most natural thing in the world. We don't want to hurt each other. If you want to hurt people constantly, there's something about you that's off.
Right.
And that's what they're feeding us, right? They're making people, they're putting all this hormones in the meat. But not only that, but they also fill the animals, right? The way they kill them. They line them up side by side. They break their legs. And they allow them to sit there and cry as they're moaning out with their broken legs in pain, terrified. And then they walk up to them with an air gun and they blow their brains out, one at a time. That's how the slaughterhouse works. And they do that to put all this fear in the meat, and then we go and eat it.
Right.
And fear and all the hormones, all the antibiotics, they made us all sicker and weaker. And then they're taking vaccines, and all the vaccines are filled with things that we know suppress our immune system. And they have the nerve and audacity to tell us we have to give these to our children. There is no more secrets behind what they're doing. It is obvious and transparent. Bill Gates is on tour talking about how, if we have better health care and really good vaccine, we can reduce the population by 15%. Tell me in what logical scenario that works if you're actually trying to help people's health. You're not. You're trying to give people a manageable 50, 60 years of life, and you're cutting them off right there because they're not worth living. You're managing them the same way you would manage a herd of cattle. Or, and honestly, even that is probably, I'm sure it's unethical,
Yep.
So.
Yep. Well, it looks like we're stopping them. I'm glad we're on this train to get away from everything that we've been doing. We're taking a stand, and we are making it. Yes, it needs to happen with everyone standing up and stopping this, especially on the fronts of the food, clean water, clean air, and protecting our children. After that, we can discuss the rest, but let's focus on that. So,
Agreed.
yeah, I'm going to have to get off. I got another meeting to start, but I appreciate everything you're doing, Tank, and I think we've made quite a lot. I'll try to. This is I guess this is 180 episodes we've done straight in a row.
Yes, sir.
Right. So what are we going to do?
I conclude too.
What are we going to do on 364 or 365?
Hey, would you stop speaking out stuff into existence? There will be many years from now, Dan. Many years from now. We're on a different path. We're on a path to liberation. We're on the verge of breaking through on a brand new level. So.
Well, I didn't say we didn't succeed yet in getting the money into our hands. I think that's like tomorrow, Wednesday. Yeah, okay, Wednesday, and then we'll have our break. I'll be in Fiji.
So you think? I hear there's underground tunnels that get me there in no time. I want to see if I can get a hold of them.
Well, that's good, and then you can take me back in the underground tunnels then.
If I have access to underground tunnels, I'll be showing up every week.
Look, I made it. I'm already there.
I'm still stuck in my car in New York.
All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. Be sure to subscribe, thumbs up, positive comments, and copy and paste this link everywhere.
Cool, gang. Have a great night, Dan. Everybody, good night.